Hello, welcome to this episode of What Next. Today I'm going to talk about I have keratoconus, what next? So, this is our eyeball. The front is a dome shaped transparent cornea. This is our iris and pupil, and the lens inside, and the retina. Now, this clear dome shaped structure called the cornea is normally like this. In case of keratoconus, this becomes thinner and more cone like. You can see comparatively, this is dome shaped, this is more of a cone shaped. Now, this is a very gradual progression, and cornea becomes slowly thinner, and more conical like. Now, this bulging of the cornea itself may lead to some amount of blurring of vision, ill-fitting glasses, frequent change in glasses, or contact lenses that do not give good vision. Now, I'm going to deal with this problem, keratoconus, in three parts. So, today I'm going to talk about what happens, what symptoms you may have, also about the natural course of this disease or this problem, and about what tests you may be advised, and about what complications that may happen. In the next series, I'll be talking a little bit about cross-linking. And in the last series, I'll be talking about corneal transplantation and special contact lenses. So, once you get keratoconus, in the initial stages, the bulge is just only so slight. So, in these cases, glasses or soft contact lenses work very well to give you good vision. Now, as the disease progresses, these soft contact lenses or these glasses will not work and will not give the clarity of vision that you would have had before. So, in these cases, it is very paramount to understand how to monitor the progression and what tests you will be advised. So now, although while I'm showing it's an exaggerated view, the appearance of early keratoconus is a very subtle sign, and this we note on an examination called corneal topography. So just like geographic topography, where we image the surfaces of, say, the earth or whole of India or Maharashtra, we have topography of the cornea, where with the use of some specialized cameras and image capturing devices, we map out every single point on the cornea, how steep it is, how thick it is. So that makes assessment of keratoconus and assessment of its progression a very mathematical and subjective business. And once the topography map is done, we know exactly how thin and how steep your cornea is today. And as a comparison, once the topography is repeated after say 8 weeks or 2 months or 3 months, we would know whether the parameters are changing. Is the thickness becoming thinner or is the cornea becoming steeper very accurately. This is the related test. Now, once we know that the corneal steepness is increasing, the next step would be to find a modality that gives you very good vision. Now, that may be just glasses, maybe contact lenses. These contact lenses, initially we could try soft contact lenses, which don't require any special fitting. It could just be based on your keratometry values, that is how steep your cornea is. Later on, as the cornea becomes steep, this steepness may not permit soft contact lenses to give good vision. In these cases, the test that may be advised to you is a contact lens trial. Now, this contact lens trial implies that we will be trying to fit a specialized contact lens called the rigid contact lens or a large scleral or a mini scleral contact lens. I'll get back to the details of these trials in my last series. But what we need to know is, if the keratoconus is progressive and is causing visual symptoms that are not corrected by glasses, then the doctor may advise you to go for these special contact lens trials. Now, what happens in cases that are non-progressing? So, if you are non-progressing, then all we have to do is use the best possible glass or soft contact lens that you want, that suits you and gives you good vision. and reassess you on a periodical basis, say 3 monthly, 6 monthly, based on what your doctor feels suitable for you. So the reassessment may again comprise of just refraction and glasses calculation, or we may require serial topographies, just to be on the watch that the keratoconus is non-progressive. Now, why does the keratoconus progress or not progress? This is still a mystery, and the most commonly accepted theory today is its relationship to eye rubbing. Now, keratoconus, although we say it's a hereditary problem, there is a 1 in 10 chance that if your parent has had keratoconus, then you may also get. But largely, we now believe the biomechanical hypothesis, that is, it has direct correlation to eye rubbing. People who tend to have either allergies or habitually tend to rub their eyes, they tend to get keratoconus and it tends to progress. So if you are in the category that there is eye rubbing, you may have progression of the keratoconus. If you had the habit and you stopped it for some reasons, then you have a stable keratoconus. There are some other diseases also like Ehlers-Danlos or Down syndrome, wherein there is a hereditary weakness of the corneal fibers, and therefore there may be keratoconus and it may progress. So once this progression starts happening, what happens then? So you can see the cone keeps increasing. Now this may actually strain the innermost layer of the cornea. Now the cornea has 6 layers. The innermost layer may get stretched and may finally, like a rubber band, snap. This is called acute eye drops. Now this happens in some of the later stages. Once it snaps, there is sudden collection of a lot of fluid in the cornea, and that may lead to a sudden loss of vision. In all other cases, the loss of vision is very gradual, very slow. So this snapping is called as eye drops, and there is a treatment for it. Another thing that can happen in the more advanced stages is that just because of this cone, at the apex of this cone, there may be some scarring, because those fibers are also, the anterior fibers are also getting ruptured and scarring. So there may be some whiteness or some white opacity in your cornea. Again, in these cases, neither spectacles nor special contact lenses are going to work to give good vision, and we may need more invasive modalities of management, such as corneal transplantations. So now we've seen that keratoconus is a partly hereditary, partly related to biomechanical eye rubbing forces. Happens mostly in young ages, between 10 and 25. There is definitely a 1 in 10 hereditary predisposition. You may initially do very well with glasses and rigid contact lenses, and in cases where there is no eye rubbing or no biomechanical forces, you may do very well with these two modalities all your life, because there is no progression. In the more progressive cases, we may need to undergo certain procedures like cross-linking. In the more advanced cases, there may be some events such as rupturing of the innermost layers, or there may be scarring at the cornea. This may necessitate surgical management, such as corneal transplantation. So I come to the end of my first session. I hope that this has answered at least a few of your doubts, and feel free to post your comments on this video. Thank you very much.